Michael Carrick's first game back at Old Trafford could not have gone any better. 2-0 today against Manchester City, their first home win against City in 3 years. They were the better team as well, weren't they? Even Pep Guardiola said after the game, the better team won. Nigel, what was your reaction to what we saw today?
I must say I'm surprised, Poppy. I really was surprised by this performance. And, you know, Troy and I know the history of football in the sense of what it's like to be in that environment when a new manager comes in, the team that you're playing at. And we say that there's a new manager bounce. Now, I expected a new manager bounce, but not to this level of this performance we saw at Manchester United. And overall, you've got to give them credit because it wasn't an over-tactical performance. It was just simple organisation. It was a bit more determination. It was more belief. And for as good as Man City have been with the vulnerabilities, Manchester United today exposed all those vulnerabilities the best way they could. Great start for Michael Carrick. You look at the team selection, there's going to be so many different conversations and different angles you can take what we just witnessed in this Manchester derby, but it wasn't overcomplicated. And Troy and I have these conversations all the time about football. There's so many people come into the game of football and try and make it seem like it's a mathematical equation. Sometimes it's very simple. It's the personnel, it's talking to players, it's giving them that belief. And when you manage at this level, it's more about egos. It's more about stroking those egos and making them feel special and making them feel part of the team, but knowing their responsibilities. And that's what we saw from this Manchester United performance today. I thought they were by far the better side. They deserved to win. They looked more hungry. They showed more desire. And they just did the basics that you'd expect Manchester United to do week in, week out.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I'm going to disagree on a lot as well. This is why I can't stand this Man United. Because you have a new manager bounce. We're going to show you a graphic in a minute about how ex-players come in. Apparently, they get the club, they get this bounce. But these are the same players. Literally a week ago, lost in the FA Cup, drew with Burnley, in my opinion, the poorest team in the Premier League. And it's instantly because what they've changed to a 4 at the back. Now we feel better. I don't know. Is it a derby game? So we get up. There's just a thing that when you play for Man United, you're expected to deliver a level of performance week in, week out. And these guys clearly are talented, but there's something that's not switching on here because it's so inconsistent. It becomes this roller coaster that I will give them all the credit today. Great, well done, you won, and you dominated a poor Man City team, in my opinion. But in this situation, what are we expecting now? Michael Carrick gets him in the Champions League. They give him a job for 2 more years and then sack him next November? Because we've seen this happen before. So what are we expecting from it? I don't know. It's a weird one for me. I think, obviously, Ruben Amorim obviously got results against City last year as well. So it's not out of the blue. This is the first time they've won in like 10 years, something like that. They literally got results last year, playing with the 3-5-2 system. We never hear anything about the system. But what you will start to see now from the PR machine that is Man United, from the ex-players association, will be Michael Carrick gets it. Oh, it's great Kobe Mainoo was played because he's one of us. But the biggest factor was they had a lot of their starters back, fit and available. Harry Maguire's back. Martinez is back. Luke Shaw's fit and available. You had players to come off the bench now because of that. You had Cunha, you had Šeško who didn't even come on. It's the squad that Ruben Amorim wanted. You just actually now being able to see it because everyone's fit and available.
I think that's the problem when you look at a result we've just seen today in a Manchester derby, that many people can take this result and take it to whichever avenue suits their narrative and suits their story. Troy makes a great point in the whole Kobe Mainoo situation. He's come back in playing next to Casemiro, and now they beat their greatest rivals in the derby.
And they looked
home.
happy, didn't they? We saw after them all giving each other a hug, going down the tunnel. Like,
there's the same people a week ago that went straight down the tunnel
when they lost.
Like,
yeah, 100%.
This is the modern player in a nutshell. Like, when we're winning, you see, you know, on the images, you see Casemiro jumping on the back of Carrick, and it's like, we're great, we're all together. That's this week. I want to see that in 6 weeks' time.
Well, that's the thing. Again, it's the new manager bounce. And I must say that it is a performance that did surprise me. But when you look at it again, you look at the history of ex-Manchester United players and you look at their first game in charge. And when you highlight the ex-players, the ones that the fans would say, they're one of us, they get it, this is it here. Only Darren Fletcher's the only one who had a draw in his first game in charge. Michael Carrick wins today. Ruud van Nistelrooy won. Michael Carrick again when he was before won, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer won. But let's just say be careful for Manchester United fans. Because at one point when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was in charge, he won 14 of his 19 games before he was given a permanent job. And when he was given the permanent job, he won 2 out of 10. So that's the worry about this. Now,
And they paid him 10 million to leave,
yes,
by the way.
And that's a problem. So I agree with Troy. But I look at it right now with where Manchester United are. I would say Michael Carrick's obviously in charge as his own. He's got his team. His obligation, I would say, or what they've told him is, make top 4. I think top 4 is the objective.
Is that realistic?
I think it's going to be difficult. I don't think it's going to be easy.
It'll be a great season.
It'll be a great season. I say, if you say Man United have turned the corner, if they can make top 4 this season, that for me is progression. Okay, I could say Man United are starting to turn the corner.
Well, definitely, considering where they were last season, even though they made it all the way to the Europa League final, it was one of statistically the worst finals with Tottenham and Manchester United with where they did sit in the Premier League.
100%. And again, Ruben Amorim left them, they were 6th. He's not taking over a team that is 17th. They were 6th in the league and obviously had a disagreement on where they were going or personnel. And things happen and people move on. I want to give Michael credit, Michael Carrick. He's handled it well. He spoke really well in there. But this isn't about right now. This isn't about this game. This is about Man United as an institution that we all grew up looking and watching and going, they are the best. They're the pinnacle. For a decade, they've been a laughingstock. And now what they do is rinse and repeat the same thing. We're going to go with a new manager. We're going to give him all of this power. We're going to give him all this money. That doesn't work. Quick, bring in somebody that all the fans like. And then we do that. He does well because he goes back to basics. Right, give him a job. That doesn't work and we go the other route. And it's like, how for a company so big and a football team that's so historically great, do you keep making the same mistakes?
Yeah.
You keep making the same mistakes. So today's about them playing well and then winning the game. Great. But this can't be the long-term solution. Surely not.
I'll just say this quickly before, sorry, Poppy. Consistency. We're told as players, if you want to be the best, if you want to play at big clubs, you got to be consistent because that's how people recognise that. The same has to apply when it comes to Manchester United. Great win today in the Manchester derby. But how are you going to be when you play these other teams? Are you going to put in the same performances? Are you going to raise your levels like you did against Manchester City, going to get the results? Or might that inconsistency creep in again where we can say, OK, I've seen this story before?
What do you think about Manchester City then? Because obviously they had the big win against Exeter, then they beat Newcastle in the Carabao Cup, didn't they? But before that game, they had drawn 3 in a row in the Premier League, now losing today. Pep Guardiola didn't make any excuses really in his post-match press conference. He did say they were the better team today, Manchester United. He's got a lot of injuries that he's dealing with. What was the big problem today? And are you really concerned now for City? Because Arsenal, if they beat Nottingham Forest today, they could go 9 points clear at the top of the table. Yeah,
it felt like a defining moment in the season for Arsenal. Obviously now having that buffer going into the game today against Nottingham Forest, going, oh, brilliant. If we win, 9 points clear, but all the pressure's off, because even if they lose, that gap's still there, which I don't foresee happening, sorry, Poppy, to your Forest team.
Ouch.
But I think the biggest problem for me is that backline. That backline has been poor. We actually raised it in the Carabao Cup against Newcastle. Again, Nathan Ake, a player that I know and played with at Watford, I have a lot of time for him. But because of the injuries, and he's started to back himself less in terms of a physical foot race. He's dropping so early now that they've never been able to play the line. Then they moved him into centre-back, and they put Nico O'Reilly, and he gets a yellow card straight away. Rico Lewis, who was obviously a midfielder that filled in at right-back, looks a shell of himself. The defending for the second goal is borderline embarrassing. And then the young lad, Kusanov, who they brought in, spent a lot of money on him last year. I haven't seen him have a good game yet.
He's not a great game on the job.
Not a great game, not an exceptional game. Just a good, solid game. And me and Nigel were talking about it before. Like, who is the centre-back that you trust at the moment? Who's that one defender? And I would say that's Guardiola for me. Unfortunately, he's broken his leg. So John Stones has been great in his time, not fit and available. Diaz, not fit and available. And you understand why they're going to get Mark Gay, but it's also, that's just one player. When you look across that back line, as Nico O'Reilly's naturally a midfielder playing left back. You've got Aït-Nouri on the bench. I think they need to start playing him now, trusting why they brought him in. You've got Rico Lewis playing at right back. You've got Nunes playing at right back. Both of them are midfielders by trade. It's just a completely disjointed back line. And when you actually think about it, they lost 3-0. However, Donnarumma was probably their best player.
Oh, unbelievable performance.
And also they had 3 goals chalked off. So Man United could have won 5-6-7-0 and nobody could have said anything. Although I know we're going to get to it, the big moment for me is still Doku. If that sending off happens that early in the game, I think the balloon is popped in this Man United Carrick upbringing, and then you would see something different.
Well, speaking of that, let's bring in our rules expert, Christina Unkel, to talk about that challenge that we did see. Christina, it was only 10 minutes in, wasn't it? Or the boys here both said how that wasn't a red is absolutely madness. What did you think of it just being a yellow card for Dalot today?
Well, if the boys are asking for a red, then there is something there that was a miss, because they like proper English football where they just get stuck in. And I would agree with them. This is a missed red card. I know it's early in the time. Once again, time necessarily doesn't make a factor when we talk about serious foul play. Why? Because that's endangering the safety of the player. Here you have studs up, direct contact onto the kneecap. Does he follow fully through? The answer is no, but at the same time, he's still coming with some speed, some force, and it kind of rakes down and goes to his kneecap and then down. Also, most importantly, not saying that this is a mitigating factor, but when taking a look at this in full play, right, it's always important, point of contact, which is what we saw there, then full speed to really get the appreciation of that tackle. There's no need to go that high in for that challenge. The ball was low on the ground. It looks like it's a little bit up, but that's when he moves the ball. But at that time, when that challenge was made, that's definitely one that endangers safety, serious foul play. Red card should have been issued. Surprised that the VAR did not issue this down, and we had a very experienced English football crew on this with Anthony Taylor and Craig Paulson in the VAR booth. So quite a bit of a surprise, and this is definitely going to be a missed incident.
Again, Christina, we had this chat, didn't we, in the week with the Carabao Cup? It's like that inconsistency level isn't there. I just want to know try and put yourself in their position of the team at the VAR. When it's now stopped and it's that clear image, and we see it all the time now, we say it's unfair for the players, but when you see that clear image, high on the knee, straight leg, could have been a lot worse for Doku. What reasoning are they giving themselves to say that a yellow card suffices there? Can you try and enlighten us on that?
Yeah, I would say it would come down to a lot of communication with the center referee. Center referee obviously having their first choice to make that decision, and that would be Craig going into, or Anthony giving Craig, or vice versa, the conversation being like, what did you see? And Anthony would be like, yep, I saw studs on the knee, didn't go through, not enough for me, just a yellow card, but borderline. Not saying that's exactly what they said. I don't have access to the audio videotape, but that would be something that would make that VAR hesitate and saying, well, if I'm going to send him to the monitor and he's seen exactly what I'm going to show him, is he really going to overturn his decision? That is the only hesitation I could see from Craig, is to say, you know what? If Anthony didn't explain it as exactly as he sees it on the videotape, Craig would have probably said, I'm going to send this down and give him a second look. That's the only hesitation, having been in that VAR booth and having been a referee with a VAR, that really happens in that communication standpoint.
Yeah, that was a mad one, wasn't it? Christina, thanks so much, though. We appreciate the explanation. See you soon.
Of course, see you soon.
Look like one of your challengers, Nige, from back in the day. What about Erling Haaland then? Because obviously you mentioned the defensive worries about Manchester City. A lot of people may be talking about Haaland's numbers not being at where they have been in the past. He's scored so many goals this season, hasn't he? But only one in the last 7, and that one was a penalty. Is it a concern?
It's a concern. I would say, like Troy said earlier, defensively, Manchester City are vulnerable. We can see why they're going for Mark Gahey. They need that. Attacking-wise, Semenyo's been brought in to add more goals to take the pressure off Erling Haaland. But when you watch from the performance level of what he's doing and what he's been putting in, I look at the Carabao Cup game against Newcastle now, I see a frustrated Erling Haaland. And I question myself, well, you've got 2 out-and-out wingers, simplify the game sometimes. Why not get it out and get crosses in the box? And then when Erling Haaland gets taken off, they start to put crosses in the box, which doesn't play to his strength. Sometimes I think with Manchester City, there's a level of overcomplicating things when they get the ball in the final third, of wanting to score that perfect goal, where sometimes you've just got to just get the result. Get it out wide. You've got 2 wingers who are probably 2 of the best in the Premier League, who can beat or give a run for their money against any defender they come up against. Get crosses in the box so Erling Haaland can get his head on it. There's not many defenders in the Premier League that could compete with Erling Haaland when it comes to balls in the air. And I see elements of frustration where they're not playing to his strengths. And give credit to him, he's making the runs, but they're not passing him the ball. So I think that's another worry for Pep Guardiola, where he has to maybe have more of a deep conversation with Erling Haaland and start to take away the frustrations that he's starting to show now.
And the one thing that we have to allude to, he's playing poorly as well. Again, I'm a massive Haaland fan. There's a moment in the game, the ball comes up and it's Martinez throws him out the way, gets the ball, runs forward. Now, I know you're frustrated. I know it's not feeling the same, but you're 6'3", you're a big boy. If he gets angry, no one's taking the ball off him. And it just feels at the moment there's a little bit of feeling sorry for himself. I thought at the start of the season, He came with a point to prove. Last year, weirdly, everyone said he had a bad season. He scored 30 goals in all competitions. But for his standards, that was poor. Everyone was talking about Isak, Gyökeres, Šeško, you name it. All this talk about other strikers. And he was like, hold on a second, let me show you I'm the king of the hill. And I just feel like he's got back to that point. And now that little 5% of, you should be giving me the ball. I should be scoring more. And I want to see you be a little bit nastier with his players.
That's a great point.
Both in the build-up, but then you've got Semenyo, you've got Doku. And you were talking about how you thought in the game Haaland was playing poorly. I was saying, but look, you don't know when the ball's coming in.
Yeah.
Doku had the ball on the left-hand side. He chops once, he chops twice. He goes to cross it, comes back again, goes to the edge of the box, doesn't come in again. He goes round the side, doesn't come in. He made 7 runs in a 30-second span to try and get the ball, never gets it. As a striker then, I go, well, I don't know when it's coming, and you instantly go on your back foot. The ball does come and you're not ready. So I think he needs to be a bit more aggressive, a bit more assertive to his players and say, hey, when you're there, put it in the box.
And the thing about Erling Haaland that I love about him, Poppy, is you get what you get. You can clearly see he can't hide his emotions, which is great. He wears his heart on his sleeve. I just don't see that same hunger and anger that we used to see, like you said, because he can't hide that. Once he's got it, that hunger and desire to score goals, you can clearly see in his face and his body language. And that's a worry that I'm not seeing it. And it's going to go back more and more.
Worrying times for Manchester City, given their standards, and it's not going to get any easier for them as well. This week in the Champions League, it might be Bodo Glimt, but it's away from home all the way in Norway coming up on Tuesday. So we'll see what happens then.